So I got my transfer panel in the mail today. I ordered this out of the US from Reliance Controls. It's ULC listed and US listed. I'm going to be running a generator for supplemental power in the house here when the power goes out, or if there's ever an issue. And this is a connection between the generator and my existing electrical panel, so I don't get backfeed from the grid, when the power comes back on. So it's a nice setup. You get your instructions here on how to hook it up. Everything is pre-wired in the box itself. They give you your plugs and stuff that you need here, and all your grommets. All your wires are well labeled to each circuit. These two bonds on the bottom that are red, they're your for 220. This will be taken apart. I only need one 220 for my well pump. I'm not interested in running the oven or the stove or the dryer or anything like that. In a power outage, it's just kind of emergency only. So this one will be dedicated to my well pump. It'll be furnace, probably microwave, and use that for my means of cooking. And then the rest, the other 6, will be various lights that I've set up, that I've decided that I'm going to set up in my in the house. So this panel, one thing I noticed that I didn't know when I purchased it is it comes with the shroud all the way around, and it gets taller at the top. Not quite sure why they've done this. It's standard thickness of an electrical box to fit inside the wall in a 2x4 wall, but then this sticks out another 1.25 inches about at the top. So I'll have to scribe this, and we'll be take this box apart and cut this off so this fits flush in the wall. Because I live in a modular home, so anyone who has a modular home, there's not a lot of place to put things. This is the existing panel in the house. Now, as you can see, there's far more than 10 circuits like the transfer switch has, but all we're doing is just your basic things you need for every day. Keep some lights on, the fridge cold, the beer cold, and heat on in the house for the winter time. So the panel will be going right beside it here. I'll be cutting this out. I know there's obviously a joist here. Hopefully there's a wall stud here, unless they cheaped out and just went to their far side, but that's where it will be going. And then I'll make a new door, and it will cover up both at the same time. So the first thing you have to do, you have to decide what you need to run in your house. We're talking, this is, you're not going to live like a king or live like your everyday lives. The power's out. Just an emergency power. So things like your fridge, deep freeze, some lights, whatever you need to know. Well, if you have a well, and stuff like that. So my panel comes with 10 circuits that I can run. So 6 are going to be dedicated to 110 volt, which are these here. 2 are going to be 20 amp 110 volt, so that gives me my 8. And then 1's left over for double 30 for my well pump. That takes 2, and the other 110s make 8. And another thing that's important is to balance your panel, so you're pulling the same amount of watts off each side. So there's 3 15s and a 20 on one side, 3 15s, 20 on the other, and this will be split between the two sides, 30 on both. And I've labeled them so when I take my door off, which has all my writing on here, I can still see where they're at, and I can hook them up to the appropriate wires. Now with this panel open, I'm just going to give you a little show and an idea of what's going to happen here. So everything in here is existing wiring from the house. The house wasn't fully complete when I brought it in. I did a lot of the wiring myself originally, especially the main run-in and the tie-ins and stuff. So I know where everything's going, which helps out. So to this side here, this is where the new panel is going to go. I'm going to cut a hole through the wall. It's going to mount in flush, just like this one. You can see it's all behind the wall. In here, this large hole, this will be popped out. That's where the feeder line will come from the other transfer switch. Then all the wires will come through. Then I can run them nice and neat up each side of the panel, connecting them to the circuits that I need them to. The main line that comes with the generator is going to be coming up through here. I got more than enough room to run another line. So the back side of the house where the generator is going to be under a deck, a line will run under the house, and then I have to tie in to this conduit that runs underneath. There's a special T, a double half T that I can get that clamps to the side of it so I can drill a hole, and the new wire will come in and then come across as well and into the box to feed the box. So the generator running, power goes to the transfer switch, switch to generator, power goes back through the wiring coming out the hole to the circuit that I need to run. And all said and done, hopefully it works flawlessly. Now you do need homeowner's permit if you're doing this yourself for electrical. You can't just throw this thing in and hope for the best. If you have an electrical problem down the road and your house burns down, insurance is not going to cover you. It's only a $50 permit here. I live out in Alberta, so it's fairly cheap. You put it in, the guy just comes out one day, it takes him like 10 minutes, looks at the instructions, make sure you followed everything correctly and everything's wired up, and you're good to go. Next step, time to cut a big hole in the wall. I got my hole in the wall, measured the right size hopefully. Worked out perfect with the stud on that side. And there's actually a stud in here. It's only like 10 inches apart. So that'll work out perfect. So now I just need to make a little bracket out of some wood across the top and bottom to mount the panel to. Then the next thing will be to punch this metal plate out and use a hole saw and go through from this side into the main electrical box. So the transfer panel is mounted. I was able to make my little brackets today that fit up into the wall. I don't know if you can see them. They hold it in there nicely. And also on the bottom, I got my wires run through. It's not perfectly square, but good enough. Just like the main panel, it will get a nice little faceplate to go around the outside of it. Next step is to start running all these wires into the main fuse box, which are already labeled and corresponding with letters that are on here. Ready to go. Well, here we are. The transfer panel is now completely wired in to the existing electrical. All red wires going in, except for the big ones there. All the red wires going in, these four. And these ones here are all linked to electrical panel. The hot ends are tied off to the yellow grommets, which feed back to the transfer switch. Everything is connected to line. They're running off grid power right now. But it was smooth. Did it as neat as I can for the inspector. All wire tied up, nothing loose, nothing hanging. And that's it for that. Next step, to run the remote line to the outside of the house, which will tie into this little box here through the wall. I'll have to go down the existing conduit underneath the house, and then I'll have to run some conduit about 70 feet to the west side of the house underneath the deck, where I'll install a large outdoor waterproof plug. And once that plug is installed, then theoretically it's completely finished. Well, finally, all wiring is done to the transfer panel. Today, I ran in my main line from underneath the house, right here, through the box, through the stud. Hope the inspector's fine with me stripping the jacket back. I could not make this tight bend to get back into the box, but I do have it tied off on both sides and then attached to the box itself. These two things here These are your wattage meters. They read the in real time the watts being pulled through each side of your panel, so you can see, what's going on. So we'll put this door back on here, and then it's to the outside to install the main plug for the generator. So we're outside now. I just run the electrical box underneath the hose for and put a conduit in. Sorry, it's minus 30 today. I must be out of my mind doing this. Tomorrow's supposed to be warmer, but then again, I got other yard work to do, so I recommend saving it for a warmer day. But this is what we have on the end. Basically, all it is just an extension cord. It goes right from the box in the hose through into the plug, which is waterproof, and that'll be outside. So I'll get this hooked up, and then all our wiring is complete. We can go inside, get warm, have a nice coffee and Bailey's. Well, it's another exciting day in my generator project here for the house. Today I received my conversion kit from US Carburation. This will allow my generator to run off of gasoline, propane, and natural gas. Now, natural gas will be my choice. The rest of the house is running on natural gas as well. But yeah, so never have to fill up with gas. Comes with everything you need except whatever your main connector is coming from the hose. Mine will probably end up being 1/2 inch, so that's the only adapter that I need to purchase. Regulator, purge valve. Hose go from the regulator to the carburetor. And this is what they call the snorkel here. There's no modifications that need to be made to the generator itself. This little snorkel here, attached to a gasket, replaces the existing carburetor gasket that goes between your air intake, where the filter is, and the body itself to the carburetor. So it moves it out. They said 1/4 inch, but you're lucky if that's 1/8, maybe 3/16 at the best. So no modifications is nice. Don't have to worry about it messing with my warranty. Then it comes with the various nuts and bolts to hook it up. This here, this is a little bit crude, but this is your adjustment between propane and natural gas, because both gases burn quite differently. Propane burning hotter, you can adjust how much propane or how little propane or natural gas you want, and then this bolt goes to the bottom and tightens it in. Now, what I don't like about it is this is loose. This is just a standard, I shouldn't say standard, it's a metric bolt going to this fitting. So you have to seal it with the sealant here that they sell, which is a liquid. I'm probably going to go with gas rated tape. I don't like that because this should have an O-ring. That's the only complaint that I have about this setup, is there should be an O-ring. But we'll see how it works. I have a feeling that I will end up changing this here out and going with a better setup down the road. But we will give it a chance anyway with what it came with and see how we do. So next step is to install this on the generator. So here's the generator I got from Costco. They had it on a pretty good price and it was on sale as well. Champion Power Equipment. So that's 9,000 watts max for surge and 7,200 is constant run. It's a nice unit, electric start. For the hose, we'll be running on this plug here, 240 volts. And yeah, No, not much to say about it. It's a nice unit. Pull start and electric. It's actually quite quiet for what it is. I think it's only 74 decibels, I think. Comes with this nice little gauge here. Tells you your amps that it's putting out, your hertz, and your voltage. So we'll start it up here. Fuel on, choke. That last number you see on there, that 4, that's how many hours I got on it so far. I am converting this over to natural gas. The natural gas kit recommends that you run it for 2 hours. The manufacturer recommends 5 hours. So I got about 4.5 hours on it. It doesn't register half hours. So next step is the natural gas conversion kit. So the first step to adding this conversion kit for natural gas or propane, I remove the air box and air filter. So we're right to the inlet of the carburetor. Have to remove the existing carburetor gasket, and this goes in its place. This is the snorkel. This little tube that's going to draw the natural gas in, and it's going to go right in place here. Okay, so I have the carburetor plate for the airbox back on with the snorkel installed right here. Now, one thing I notice, a bit of a problem here that they don't supply anything for, is your lower mount. See the space here? I know it's hard to see, but this is the new distance that this box pushes away from it. Now, you don't want to be putting too much torque on your carburetor, so I'm going to have to put some washers in there to take up that space, just so there's not putting undue stress on the carburetor itself, and also bending the backing plate here, which may pull away from the carburetor, allowing some air to pass through without going to the filter. So I'll space that up, and actually I'll make a little note and let the company know. Okay, problem number 2. The snorkel, which comes from your carburetor to allow the natural gas in. This is the breather hose for your tank. Well, the hole for the breather hose that goes in the box is right behind this joint, this knuckle. There's absolutely no way this is going to fit. So I have to take this apart, make sure there's nothing on this side of the baffle. I'm going to have to drill a new hole and put this in from the side. Kind of a pain in the butt, because now I'm going to have to take this all apart as well and put a little bit of sealant or silicone or something to cover that hole. Well, here's the finished product. Even with taking that box back off and re-drilling a little hole and sealing it up, I think it only took me about 25 minutes to install this. It's very nice. Fits within the width of the wheel as well, which is good. So All I gotta do now is get an elbow coming down with fitting. I'm gonna put a quick connect on it just like my barbecue. And that's it. It's done. It's ready to hook into the hose. Hose wiring's finished. Generator's running well and broken in. Next test will be electrical on the hose to make sure it runs fine, and then plumbing the gas. Well, today's the moment of truth. Got the generator plugged in. Just a temporary spot for now. I've decided I'm going to build a large box to put this in just to keep it out of the elements. So today is going to be the first time flashing it up and see if the hose runs off the power. Let's give it a go. Okay, moment of truth. Let's pretend there's a power outage. Main breaker. Everything goes dead. Here we go. Oh, some lights come back on. The big one is going to be the well. Almost no draw right now. Oh, furnace is coming on. See if it kicks into high gear here. We'll time lapse this a bit so you don't have to wait for the 2-minute warm up. Fire in the hole. And there she goes, full power. Barely drawing 1,000 watts. Turn everything on. Everything we can to see what's going on here. I'll go turn the rest of the lights on and we'll check back. Okay, furnace running. Every light in the host that can be on is on. TV is on. PlayStation is on. Very important. Fridge is running. Deep freeze running. Heat tape running. Everything on in the bathroom, including fan. Pretty even. It's hard to read there. Left side of the panel, dead on 1,000. Right side, just a hair under 1,000. Now to turn on the well. This will be the big one. Okay, every single circuit on. Furnace still running on high. 220 well pump is running. Both sides of the panel are evened out. at just over 1,000. I'm only pulling 2,000 watts on 30 amps. I call that a success. Very happy man. Now I can get the inspector to come in and finalize my panel inspection, and that is it. Plug in the gas and I'm good to go.